to lead us in. Oops. All right. So we're on a 10-second delay here, so I'm going to have to wait a little bit here to make sure that it's actually working. Good. Yep. All right. So the audio is terrible, unfortunately. Apologies because I left my good computer in Omaha, and at least we'll be streaming here. It looks like, and today we're going to be reviewing. And the form of that review is going to be that we're going to do an exercise that I gave on a final exam 2 years ago. That exam deals with Pokemon. So if you don't know anything about Pokemon, then that's fine, because I don't either. Right? I just took this as an exercise. I'm going to explain to you what we're trying to do here. So here's the main driver program. It's going to take 2 Pokemon names. So for example, one Pokemon name is Bulbasaur, and another one is Ivysaur, whatever it is, right? So suppose that we wanted to battle those two together, right? It's a game where you take these 2 Pokemon and one battles the other. So when Bulbasaur attacks Ivysaur, the effectiveness of that attack is affected by the type of Pokemon that they are. So Bulbasaur and Ivysaur are both grass type, apparently. Made of grass, or they live in the grass, or something like that. And the rules are governed by this grid right here. So there are 18 type of Pokemon. So when a poison attacks another poison, it's only half as effective here. So 0.5. When a grass, there it is, a grass, attacks another grass, which is, where are they? Another grass right here, they're half as effective. But of course, if it looks like if a fighting type Pokemon attacks a normal Pokemon, then it's twice as effective. And there are some things that are not effective at all. For example, Ghost against a normal. Okay. So here's the idea, and this is in the exam I gave this following CSV file with all 152 Pokemon. Actually, there are 151. What I did to illustrate this last time I did it is I added another type of fake Pokemon here. Herbie Husker, who's a grass type, and so what our job here is going to be to read this CSV file, build a bunch of Pokemon, and since we're going to start in C, we're going to do that with structures. A Pokemon is a number, a name, and a type. Once we've got that, then our main driver program takes the 2 names and determines what attack type they are. That's going to be in another file. Right? So when dark attacks water, its multiplier is 1. This is the ultimate answer that we want right here. Right? When, I don't know, what were the examples I gave? Grass attacks grass. There. It's half as effective. 0.5 is what we want to report. Okay? So we're going to have some file I/O here. We're probably going to want to design a structure to do this, to represent a Pokemon. We're probably going to want to search and sort because we're going to want to find that Pokemon by their name. Once we've got their name, then we've got their type. And we can then process this file over here. So to start out here, let's go ahead and define a structure that represents a Pokemon. Right? Type def struct. And I'll give it a name right away, Pokemon. Right? Capital P, right? Because types begin with our upper camel case by convention. At least that's the convention I've been following. A Pokemon is a number, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. I'm going to represent that as an integer, right? ID, we'll say. Okay. It also has a name, and it has a type. Right? Now, the type here the types are fixed. There are 18 types, and it's normal, fight, flying, blah blah blah, all the way down to fairy. Right? But I'm going to represent it as a string because I want to use string comparisons. An alternative design that we were briefly talking about before we started streaming was, what if I did an enumerated type? Pokemon type, and then I'd have all caps normal, comma, all caps fight, comma, all caps flying, etc. And you can do that. In fact, that's what I would do if I had more time. Right? And then this would end up just being a 2 by 2 or an 18 by 18 two-dimensional double array. You could use those enumerated types to then look up. Here's grass, and then here's fight, right? In the grid, and that corresponds to some number. I don't have it in that form. I have it in this form right here, so we won't do that. We'll keep it as a name here, or as a character array as a string. So once I've defined my Pokemon, what are some functions that I might want to create? Okay, like a constructor, or in C we call them factory functions or initialization functions. We could have either a Pokemon star create Pokemon, however that looks, or we could have a void init Pokemon that took as input a pre-existing Pokemon instance, right? P. I like this one better, but of course you could do both, right? Just to give yourself a little bit of wiggle room and flexibility. Sometimes you might want to do one, sometimes you might not want to do the other, right? Or I'll take a vote. Which one do we want to do? Let me undo that. Which one do we want to do? This will also kind of affect how we want to do this. Do we want an array of structures, or do we want an array of pointers to structures? Either one is perfectly fine. It's just that you have to be careful. Right? Like we talked about in lecture 13.4, where I showed you the array of pointers to films or pointers to books, whatever we did. Right? So which one do we want? Vote for those in here. Do we want a regular array of structures or an array of pointers to structures? Array of, okay. A harder one?
I assume it's part of overview.
Okay. All right, so let's go. Well, we've done it both ways. It's just that this one is going to be a little bit more thought. We're going to have to put in a little bit more thought here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take we're going to take everything we need, const char star name and const char star type, right? And this is going to create a brand new Pokemon. Now, already looking ahead here, you know, if I give you this name and I want you to make a deep copy of that name for that structure, probably I also want a str or char star deep string copy, right? And then const char star s. Okay. All right. What else am I probably going to want? Let's make a function that loads it up from that file. So a Pokemon, and then we're going to represent it as an array of pointers, right? So load file, right? And then const char star file name. That produces your array of pointers to Pokemon like you wanted, okay? Let's go ahead and get started by writing these now. Maybe also a way to print stuff out, but we can deal with that later. We're going to put all this stuff into Pokemon.c, and I'll open that file now. Of course, what I should do is go back and make sure that I've got documentation, right? But since this is just a demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and forgo that documentation. But of course, like any good programmer, if you don't want to do something right away, put in a to-do, add documentation to header file. Okay. Thank you, YouTube, telling me that the bit rate is too high. That means that we're really doing well, I guess. Yeah, go ahead. It's convenience, right? I'm going to copy that name to that Pokemon's name. I'm reading the name from the file. I want to make sure that that Pokemon has that name. I read that type from the file. I want to make sure that Pokemon has that type. It's a convenience thing. Well, yeah, but I need to copy it, and so I need to make sure that it's ultimately I have to initialize the memory, and then I have to copy it over. Why not just do a function to do that? Because I'd be doing this twice, right? Anytime it would be a cut and paste every single time I wanted to do this, right? But now it's just a function call. stdlib, of course, I'm doing probably something with strings, so include stdio. And include string.h. All right, deep string copy, that should be pretty easy, right? Char star copy, or C, is equal to a call to malloc. How many bytes do we want? size of char times size of s. Is that going to work? Size of s. S is a pointer. That's only 8 bytes typically. That's not what you do. strlen of s. Good enough? +1, good. And unfortunately, I see a lot of people doing the wrong math and getting it right, but the wrong way. Make sure that those parentheses are around the +1. It's not going to matter because it's going to end up being 1 byte times 1 byte, which is the same as +1 byte. So, but this is the proper way of doing it. Okay. I think we've got good resolution online, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom out here. All right, there we go. Now, once I've set up memory, I can go ahead and go strcpy into C, S, and then return C. There's my deep string copy. It's a convenience function. Anytime you find yourself doing more of the same block of code more than once, it should be screaming out to you, define a function for it, and then reuse that function. Okay? Create a Pokemon, Pokemon star, P, right, is equal to a call to malloc, typecast, size of Pokemon. And how many do you want? I only want 1. Of course, now this is superfluous, but for demonstration purposes, I'm really advertising my intent here. I only want 1 Pokemon, right? And ultimately, I want to return P. But before I do that, a Pokemon has a name, an ID. It has a name and it has a type. So I need to go P dot ID is equal to that ID. P dot, is dot correct? We have what? We have a pointer. When I have a pointer to a structure, what do I need to do? Arrow. Arrow is name is equal to name. Is that correct? That'll work, but, well, hopefully there will be a compiler warning here because the thing on the right-hand side there is a const char star, and the thing on the left-hand side is not a const char star. So hopefully the compiler would complain about this. But what kind of copy is this? Make that name point to that name over there. I have 2 pointers pointing to the same thing. Is that a deep copy? No, what's the opposite of a deep copy? The shallow copy. So if one of these things gets destroyed, then they're both destroyed. So I'm going to call deep string copy on name, and this is why I defined the deep string copy on the type. Yeah.
So that's your copy would be given out.
No, because I haven't set up the memory yet, right? That's a pointer to a char star that hasn't been initialized. You'd have to initialize it, then use strcpy, and if that's 2 lines of code, put it in a function, right? So that you don't have to repeat those 2 lines of code over and over and over again. All right, now let's get to the real meat and potatoes here. Right. So let's get to the real meat and potatoes here. I need to open up the file for processing, right? So file star f is equal to fopen, I call the fopen, and we're given the file name here, and we want to open it up for reading, not treating, reading. Okay. You can check to see if it's actually there by checking for null, right? If f is null, then in this case, I'll return null because, of course, that's the only thing I can return. It's returning a pointer. Right? So if the file opening failed, then I should return a flag variable value here, which is null, that I can't open that file because it doesn't exist. Right? Or something went wrong here. Maybe it exists and I don't have permission to read it. Right? Something weird happened. But otherwise, what I'm going to do now is process this CSV file over here. Conveniently, just like your final homework here with the weather data, on the very first line, what have we done for you? We've told you how many there are, so you don't have to go through it twice to say that, oh, okay, well, I read 152 records and 152 non-blank lines, and now I can go back and set up my memory and then do it all again. Nope, just the first line is good enough. So, in Pokemon.c, right? Int n. Actually, let's set up some other things here. Char. I could call it a buffer, but I'll go ahead and call it line because that's what it is. I'm going to read this file line by line by line. And I'll just make this large enough to hold anything, right? And I'm also going to create an integer n, num Pokemon, right? And what I need to do is I need to read the first line. Read the first line to and determine how many Pokemon. Okay? So forgets, remember how forgets works? It reads into the line at most 1,000 minus 1 characters because it takes care of the null terminating character for you. And then the last one is with the file that you're reading from, with the file handle that you're reading from. That gets the first line. Now I can say that num Pokemon is equal to a to I of that line. That'll be 152, right? So far, so good. If we want to do, we could test this pretty quick, right? We could say printf, let me do a little bit more, and then then we'll test it. Okay. But if you're writing this on your own, if you're doing homework 6, then you should be doing intermittent testing. And the isolation testing. Does the create function work? Can I create a Pokemon and can I print it out successfully, right? Or did I corrupt memory at some point? Isolate one unit of code. That's what unit testing is all about. Isolate one unit of code and at least have a high assurance that that's actually correct. Okay? All right, so I've got the number of Pokemon here. And so what can I do? I can go into a while loop while I'm still reading line after line after line, keep going. But what will happen when I get down here to a line 154? There's no Pokemon there. If I try to process that line, that blank line, I'm going to start getting segmentation faults or unexpected data, etc. I already know how many Pokemon there are, right? That's the first line. Respect that first line, right? So by respecting that first line, it means I'm going to use it for int I equals 0. I is less than num Pokemon. I plus plus. Right? Okay. I'm going to process the next line, or read the next line. And to do that, I just do the exact same thing as I did before. Forgets line 1000 f. Right? And let's not forget at the end here that once I'm done with the file, I close it. And then ultimately I return something. What do I need to return? Once I've got the number of Pokemon, I need to set up my array of pointers, right? So Pokemon star, Pokemon, Pokemons. All right. Pokemon. Well, say what? No, of course not. It's Japanese, and Japanese doesn't have pluralization forms. They do have some ways of pluralizing stuff, but they don't do it like we do, where s. Sometimes you drop the I and add ies, right? Fly to flies. Sometimes it's a completely different word. The plural of person is people or persons, right? Sometimes both are acceptable. All right, so Pokemon star. That's going to be a pointer. Remember, it's an array of pointers, so how many bytes does each pointer in the array take? And how many do you want? Num Pokemon. Okay. Once I've set that up, I don't need to set up each individual Pokemon. Why? Because we do that in this create Pokemon function over here. All I need to do is take this line and split it up into its 3 parts, its ID, its name, and its type, and hand that off to that other function that I've already written. So I need to tokenize the line. Right? How do I do that? Well, I need an ID, int, or strtoke. I'm going to tokenize the line, and since it's a CSV file, I'm going to use commas. Right? And I need to capture that as a string value, char star token 1, right, is equal to this. Well, what is the first token? The first token is the ID. But in this case, it's a string variable. And now I'm going to immediately transfer it convert it over to an actual integer ID. Right? How? Same thing I did on line 31, A to I of ID string. Right? Okay. Char star name is equal to another call to strtoke. Is this correct? If I want to continue tokenizing the same thing, what do? I need to pass in null for the first argument. Otherwise, that starts all the way back at the beginning, and you get the ID again, 001, 002. Right? Yeah.
Why doesn't it like? Oh, because you just changed
Right. The next iteration will get the next line.
I was thinking, why didn't you tokenize? Why aren't you tokenizing the very first line?
I did up here. I didn't need to tokenize it because there are no tokens. There's only a number.
Yeah, sorry. I thought the line represented the very beginning of the file.
Right, and I took care of that up here. Nope, exactly. So Pokemon of I, the ith Pokemon, is now equal to a call to create Pokemon, right, of ID, name, and type. Extremely convenient because I've already written that function, right? I was thinking ahead, design thinking, right? Thinking ahead, I'm going to need a way to create Pokemon, so let's go ahead and do that first. You can also do it backwards. You can say, okay, well, if you say that you didn't write that function or design that function first, and you got to line 43 and you say, gee, I'd really like a function to do this for me. Okay, do it. Now go back, write that function, or proceed with the assumption that you'll write that function later, right? Okay, return Pokemon, whatever. Right. Let's make sure that I don't have any syntax errors here. We'll just go ahead and compile. All right, there is a problem. Well, here, let's start up here. Whoa, there's big problems. Unknown type Pokemon. Oh, did I not include? Okay, what else do I need to include? My header file, right, that has that structure definition. And now let's see. Oh, no syntax errors at all? Cool. Neat. Okay, let's go over to the driver program here and actually use it. So I'm going to create Pokemon Pokemon is equal to load file. And the file that I want to load is right in the current working directory. It doesn't matter. And it's pokemon.csv. Okay. Now, as a sanity check, let's just make sure that we actually read that file correctly. All right. For int I equals 0, I is less than num Pokemon. Oh, wait, do I have a variable called num Pokemon somewhere? Nope. Okay, I'll worry about that in a second. Suppose that we want to have the ith Pokemon, and I want to print it out. Oh, okay, it'd be very nice if I had a function to print this stuff out. Go back to the drawing board and write one. For now, I'll just go ahead and print it out. Print out %d, %s, and the line. And it's going to be Pokemon sub I, the ith Pokemon, dot ID. Remember, you wanted an array of pointers, so it would be arrow ID. Pokemon sub I, arrow name, and Pokemon sub I. Keyboard's also foreign to me right now. Again, looks like I haven't bothered looking at the stream health. Wow, this is beating my Mac to a pulp. It's a 5-year-old Mac versus a $500 budget Windows PC, and the Windows PC is beating it in terms of performance for streaming here. Cool. Yeah. Question? No. Okay. All right. So back to the drawing board here. How do I know what number of Pokemon are? Well, I know because there are 152 in that file. But what if I go back and I change it so that there's no Herbie Husker, and there should only be 151? Oh, okay, like the load file function
Yeah.
also communicates, here are your Pokemon, and also here are the number of them, right? How would it end up doing that? So let's go back over here. I need another output. Can I output two things? Can I return two things? No function does that, remember, right? Think about what a function is in mathematics. A function is given x, it maps to a y. If a function x maps to this y and this y like a circle, is that a function? No. It fails the vertical line test, right? Likewise, functions in coding can't return more than one thing. So what can we do? Pass a variable by reference, num Pokemon, right? There we go. Now over here in load file, I need to change the signature here. Int star num Pokemon. And that's why I use, oh, okay. Unfortunately, we have a name conflict here, right? Num Pokemon. I'm going to go ahead and call it name Poke or men or n Pokemon. There we go. And once I've got it, of course, I can set it, right? That n Pokemon is equal to the number of Pokemon. If I were in a full ID, of course, I would have gone through and renamed it. Is that correct? N Pokemon is a pointer. It's not and num Pokemon is a regular old variable. How do I make a regular pointer into a regular old variable so I can set its value? Asterisk to dereference it. Now over here in the driver program, of course, now I can create a variable called num Pokemon, just a regular old variable, and then pass it in by reference, num Pokemon. That expects a pointer. Num Pokemon is not a pointer. How do I take a regular old variable and make it into a pointer? Ampersand. That's where I did that first. Yep. Already done.
Well, no, I mean, like, the file, the pointer,
Oh, no, the names don't matter. In fact, you can leave off the name entirely. That's just, but I'll go ahead and do that to be consistent. Okay, still compiles. GCC Pokemon.o and driver.c. Uh-oh. I failed basic semicolon class there. There we go. Yay, now I've got something that will run. Remember that I'm expecting two Pokemon names. We're not there yet, but I need to go ahead and say, oh, A and B, right? There we go. Why am I getting double spaces? First of all, is it going to matter?
Not at all when you just did, you only just did like A and B. Like that changes better.
Well, no, it's not. It's just not quitting, right? Because it says A and B. Okay, there are three arguments here, but all I'm doing is printing them out. But why am I getting double space? Or why am I getting double space here? Here's one end-line character, right? But gets, does it take out the end-line character? No. So let's go ahead and take it out because it is going to be important. What's the name of a Pokemon? Fire, right? Fire end-line character is not the same thing as fire with no end-line character. So if I end up doing string comparison, I'm never going to find what I'm looking for. So let's strip that out. Remember, it's called chomping, right? Where you take out any trailing white space. Oh, I would love a function to do that for me. Go back to the drawing board, make that function for yourself. But for this one, I'm just going to chomp it out manually. Lines of whatever is equal to the null terminating character, right? That's going to be, well, if there's fire, F-I-R-E, end-line character, that's the one I want to chomp out. And there are 5 of them in there. So strlen of line 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, so -1. Okay, let's go ahead and I'm just going to compile everything together at once, just to save some time here. What? Oh, again, I failed semicolon class. That's weird. I have not done, usually I forgive my semicolons if I've been doing Python for a long time, but I haven't done it in Python in a long time, or recently at least. Right? I've got string right there. Oh, but I misspelled it too. S-T-R-L-E-N. There we go. All right, let me get rid of all this output and try this again. Okay, finally. Oh, and then A dot out AB. There. All right, so I have a high confidence here that we're reading the file correctly. Now, what I want to do is I want to find those two particular Pokemon, argv sub 1 and argv sub 2. Just to not lose the forest for the trees here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put those into two named variables. Pokemon 1 is equal to argv sub 1, and char Pokemon 2 is equal to argv sub 2. Now, that is a shallow copy, but it's okay because I'm not going to change those. I don't plan on changing those names, those Pokemon names, right? Okay. And I don't plan on changing the argument vector here either. So my next task is to find each Pokemon. But I want the actual Pokemon, P1, star P1, and P2. How could I do this? I could go ahead and go through the entire list, find the one that I'm looking for, and then set it. But I want to take this opportunity to do it right and sort it and then search it using binary search. So we will sort the Pokemon, or Pokemon. Right? How many are in there? Num Pokemon. How many bytes does each one take? Well, each one of them is a pointer to a Pokemon, so there you go. And then finally, what's the last thing that I need for QSort? A comparator. And if I have a name, I need to find the Pokemon with that name. So I'm going to have to create a comparator here by name. Right? Int Pokemon by name, or CMP Pokemon by name. Does it take two Pokemon? A and B? They have to be const void star A, const void star B, right? Otherwise it's not a comparator. Okay? Save this. What's the pattern for a comparator? I do need to get their names, right? So I do need to convert them over to const Pokemon star X is equal to const Pokemon star casting A. Oops. And B. Y. There we go. Is that correct? This pattern is assuming that you have an array of structures. You didn't want to go that way. You wanted to go with an array of pointers to structures. So what is each element in that thing? Pointer, pointer. Pointer, pointer. All right. Now let's dereference it so that we actually have a pointer. Now we have a pointer to an actual Pokemon. So my ear hole here is a Pokemon. Pointer to a Pokemon. I need to dereference it to get rid of that first pointer. Okay. So const Pokemon P1 is equal to dereferencing X. Oops. Dereference Y to get the second one. Now we've got two Pokemon pointers. Here's the Pokemon. Here's my pointer to it now. Now that I've got two free hands. Now I can use the arrow operator to get its name, the first one's name, and compare it to the other one. So return strcmp of P1's name and P2's name. Excellent. And I don't have to do a bunch of if, else, if, because it's just by name. Okay? Go back to the driver over here. And what I'm going to do is, oh wait, what was the name of that function that I just wrote? There we go. Copy that. Oops. Copy that. And again, keyboard problems here. Nope. I don't want that. There we go. All right. Now, to test this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and move this up to here so that I can see that it actually printed all that stuff out in the correct order. I don't know who comes first in Pokemon. Because give me an A Pokemon. Name that here. Zubat apparently is the last. I buy that because it's Z. Arbok. Okay, so now we're up here. Abra. All right. Like abracadabra. Okay. Okay, so I'm convinced also that it is sorting correctly. Okay. Now find each one of those Pokemon. Pokemon P1 is equal to a call to B search. Remember that B search, you should also typecast that. But what does B search take here? Well, B search takes exactly the same things that you did with Q sort, but there is a key element that you're searching for. Right? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create those keys. Pokemon, right, star, actually, it's going to have to be P1 key, right? P key 1, P1 key, let's say, right? And I don't know what the ID is, it doesn't matter. I do know what the name is, argv sub 1, and the type, it also doesn't matter, so I'll just go ahead and set it equal to null. Right? For the second one, I'll use argv sub 2. Right? And now I don't need these names anymore, because these are the actual keys. Okay? This is going to be the actual Pokemon here. But we have to be careful. Right? P1 key. Is that correct? It has to match what's in the array. What's in the array? A pointer to a Pokemon. Right? So what I actually need is a pointer to these things. Pokemon, P1 key, PTR. And that's going to be a pointer. And I'm going to make that point to P1 key. But ampersand to get its memory address. Likewise, P2 key and ampersand to get its memory address. Now I can give it P1 PTR. But like we said, you wanted an array of pointers, so it's like Inception. You got to go one level deeper. Right? If you want to see a demonstration on this exercise that uses the other technique of a plain old array of structures, watch the main sections one lecture from Monday, right? This is fine. All right. Well, yeah. The thing is, though, this returns a pointer to a pointer.
Oh no.
So we're going to have to dereference it.
Oh
Right?
no.
So I'm not even going to bother typecasting it here. You're going to have to dereference this. There. Whatever it gives back, dereference it because it's a pointer to a structure. So dereferencing it gives me a pointer to the structure.
You could make P1 and P2 like a double pointer.
You could, but then you'd have to eventually dereference them anyway.
Oh.
All right. Let's make sure that this works. I'm going to steal this up here, actually. Yep. Paste. Oops. Paste. Paste. And there we go. Yep, this is going to be not Pokemon Survive, but what did I call it? P1. P1. P2. And P1. P2. P1. I'd go a lot faster if I had my Mac here. Dang it. Terrible keyboard. It's also really, really sensitive. I don't know why. Right. Let's go ahead and see if this works. Oops. I might have screwed this up somehow already. That's just a warning. Who cares? Void value not ignored as it ought to be. Fine. You should be able to do this. It's just very, very strict on me for some reason. All right. Pokemon star star and Pokemon star star. There we go. And then I can create those two Pokemon. Pokemon P1 star P1 is equal to P1 PTR. And Pokemon P2 is equal to P. God, I hope I'm not making a mistake here. Otherwise, we're dead in the water, and we'll just go switch over to Java. We've only got 30 minutes anyway. All right, moment of truth. Give me a Pokemon. Give me your favorite Pokemon. Pokemon, or well, there's no Pokemon, is there? Pikachu and Charizard. Is that correct? Oh, so satisfying. Right? I got it on the first try. I would believe that it's electric, and I would also believe that it's fire, correct? Okay, great. Now all we have to do is open this file up, get their names, etc., etc. Get the that electric fights in fire, and there's some multiplier of that. Right? I'm going to do this the quick and dirty way. Okay. So what I'm going to do is char start. Actually, start. And I'm just going to make it of size 100. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy strcpy into start. A's type, which is again a string. Then I'm going to concatenate into start A space. Then I'm going to concatenate into start P's 2's type. Why? Because if I go through the file and I find electric space fire, that's the line I'm looking for. Stop. Take that number, and that's it. All right? So, file f is equal to open of, what was it called? Type dot dot, right? And for reading, and then char s, and I also need a buffer here. I'll call it line again, char line 100, right? Is equal to forgets, or yeah, forgets, into line at most 100 characters and from the file, right? While s is not equal to null, then I just need to make sure that does the line begin with that start? strcmp if strcmp of start and the line are equal, then that's the one that I'm looking for, and I need to stop and process that line. And I can also break out of this and close the file. Do I want strcmp though? Electric, space, fire, the rest of it is a number. It's not going to match 100%, is it? Only the first part, that's why I called it the start. Only the first part of the line is going to be equal to the start. I don't want strcpy, I want strncpy. Only compare the first start characters, right? If it's electric, however many that is, like 8, plus a space, 9, plus fire, 4 more, so 13. If those first 13 characters are what I expect, stop, that's the one I'm looking for, right? Well, the string length of start, yeah.
No,
It compares this string and this string, but only the first X characters. X here is the, yep, up to that.
I thought it was like comparing starting at.
Nope. That would mean that I want to start it at the fifth, at the fifth character, and then I would need to use something like that as a substring. Okay, that's the one that we're looking for. Int, or not int, because the multiplier is a double. It could be 0.5. Double multiplier is equal to a to I. Is that correct? Do I want an integer? A to f. What do you want to process as a double? The line, sure, but the entire line, remember it's electric, fire, then that's what I want. So line starting at strlen of start. And this has to be a string. That's right now that's a character. So how do I make a character into a character pointer? A string? Ampersand. Once I've got that, I can go printf when %s fights %s a multiplier of %f is applied. And the line. And so who's fighting whom? Well, it's P1 is name, P1 name, P2 name, and molt. I call it molt, right? P1 and P2, I printed them out up here, so I know that they're correct.
Oh, okay.
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So what did you say, Pikachu? And what? Charizard. It's an infinite loop. Why? I never read the next line. Good. What do I need to do to read the next line? All I'm doing is reading that first line over and over and over and over again. Nope, that's not it, that's not it, that's not it. Good. Okay. Pikachu and Charizard. When Pikachu fights Charizard, a multiplier of 1 is applied. Is that correct? Electric and fire? Electric versus fire.
And middle.
Okay, it's 1. Let's look at something more interesting. Electric and ground. Give me a ground. Who's ground?
Diglett.
Okay, I'll trust you here. Diglett, like that?
I believe so.
Nope, there's no such thing as Diglett. Or it's not Cubone. There's at least one person that knows this stuff usually when I do this. There we go. 0 is applied. Yay!
Question, what about like 0.5? It seems like you only grabbed the first character.
Fight, and no, I don't. I'm getting starting at the first character all the way over because of the ampersand. So fight and flying. Do we know fight and flying? All right, fine. Fight. All right, Mankey, Mankey. Or Mankey or Mankey. Fighting, and then what did I say? Flight? There is no flying.
What?
Air?
Oh, this is fun. Yeah, you're not flying.
Okay. News to me. Poison? Is there a poison?
Yeah.
All right. Ekans? There we go. There we go. So it is 0.5. Perfect. 20 minutes left to do the Java version. Yeah. In the driver, what's wrong with the driver? It's white space, so A to F, we'll ignore it. It also, I'm actually technically starting at that space, and then there's a 0.5, and then there's space after it. It's just going to go to the first, oh, here's a number I start going, 0.5, that's what I read. And then it ignores white space after that. White space is generally ignored by that conversion function. Yep. All right, think we can do it in 20 minutes?
Speed run.
Speed run, okay. Oh, it's usually 2 hours for a final.
No.
Oh, no. When I give this as a final, I give a whole bunch of starter code. There were I think I gave them the deep copy. I think I gave them a split function in C that, given a CSV file, or that it produces, it just splits them all up, and then all they had to do is convert the first one to integers and then call their deep copy string. So you'd only had to do about half of the code.
No. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, we wouldn't have had to do half of the stuff that we just did. It would have been starter code. But this is going to be even easier because I'm not even going to design a class to do this.
Yay.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to exploit a nice data structure. Given a Pokemon, you want its type, right?
Yeah.
Who cares about the number? So if I look something up by a name and I immediately get its type, what would give that to me for free? A list or a map. String to a string. Right? So this is name to type, right? Equals new hash map. Yeah, we're good. We're really good on the streaming version here. All right, so I'll import this. Import that. There we go. So let's open up the file for processing. Right? And by the way, it's over here in Pokemon.csv in the data folder over here. So how do I do file input in Java? Use a scanner. New file. Data/Pokemon.csv. All right. I wish there was a import all, but no. Well, all right. I'm going to about to commit a faux pas here. Don't do that in real life. That's importing absolutely everything in that package and sub packages. Okay. Well, no, this is now I have to surround this with a try-catch declaration because it throws a checked exception that you are forced to catch or and deal with. If that file doesn't exist, what can I do? Nothing much. So throw a new runtime exception, wrapping up E, and then let it be fatal. Kill it. I'm going to go ahead and process it in this try block here. Once I've opened it up, I can read that first line and determine how many I need, right? So s dot next line, and then I can immediately convert that over to an integer. Int num Pokemon is equal to integer dot parse int of the first line, and then I can go into a for loop for int I equals 0, I is less than num Pokemon I plus plus. All right. Read the next line. S dot next line. Okay. Good. Now, how can I split it up into those three parts? The line dot split. Right? And it does it for me. Now, I don't care about that first token, which is a number. I only care about that second token and the third token. Right? And I'm going to put them into my map, name to type dot put. The key is going to be tokens of the second one, tokens of the third one. At that point, I've got all my Pokemon loaded up. I'm done. Right? I can go ahead and take the command line arguments now and get those Pokemon. So string p name 1, that's Pokemon name 1, is equal to, or type 1, is equal to my name to type dot get args sub 0. Right? Remember that in Java, the first argument is at 0 because we don't have an executable file name. Right? P type 2 on the second argument. Good. So system.out.println when percent, in fact, print f here, when percent s fights percent s, a multiplier of percent f is applied in the line. And this is args sub 0, args sub 1, and I'll just say m. Of course, I haven't computed m yet, right? So double m is equal to 3. Well, this is just a placeholder for now. I want to make sure that this is actually running. And remember to provide command line arguments. You go up to run configurations, arguments, Pikachu, and what Charizard. Right, there we go. Apply that, run it. And when Pikachu fights Charizard, we don't know the multiplier yet. Right? Their type is right here. All I have to do now is open up that file. Let's do the same trick. Right? String start. Now instead of having to set up memory for it, which I didn't, I used a static string, and doing strcpy, strcat, and strcat again, p type 1 plus a space plus p type 2, and we're good. Yep. Spell type correctly. Great. I should have closed it up here, by the way, s.close, because I'm done with it. Let's do it again. All right. S is equal to new scanner on a different file. New file. 10 minutes left. Type dot data slash type dot dat. There we go. And then while s dot actually, before we do this, let's go ahead and make surround it with a try catch. Oh, you know what? I didn't put it up here. Sorry. All right. I'm going to steal you. A part of you here. Scanner S is equal to new scanner. I'm going to steal this part as well. Control Z, copy. There we go. All right. In fact, I should just put all that stuff over here. When is the final? We'll look that up in a second. Monday, thank you. Close it and then report it here. All right. Don't go away yet, though, if you're trying to leave. All right. We'll talk about the details in the final here in a moment. While S dot has next line, right? Then S or string line is equal to S dot next line. Okay. Now all I need to do is determine if line, like if it starts with this start up here, right? It's Java. Is there something in there that will let me start with? Yeah, cool. Start. Then that's where I process it. All right. How do I get that no now? Double dot parse double, but I have to parse it of something. What? Line. But I don't want to start it there. Where do I want to start it? Substring at a certain beginning index. What's that certain beginning index? In the old version, we did strlen of start. So start dot length.
Yay.
Got it on the first try. Yay. Well, I'm so happy about that that I want to give you a Christmas present. Oh. Well, it's recorded. I can post it if you want it, but so the Christmas present is, unfortunately, I didn't have time to actually Photoshop this or anything, but the Christmas present is no final.
Wait, why?
Yep. So you still have assignment 6, and I still have to grade, check your last labs.
What?
Wow, you guys have way bigger reaction than the main class when I did this. No, so the way that it'll work is I will just award. First of all, keep it a secret. Don't post this on Discord. Don't, because for those who are not watching live, then you know, sucks to be you online if you're not hearing this. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Okay. I'm going to announce this on Piazza anyway. Don't worry about it. But the way that it's going to work is I will simply just award the 100 points to everybody, plus the bonus for the course evaluation in that same column. And all you have left now is assignment 6. So I still went over this because this is kind of valuable code for assignment 6, and it's a good review for assignment 6. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, good. It's back.
Sorry.
Hopefully. Oh, okay. Good. Thank you, Ben. They heard it. All right. Shh, don't tell anybody because it's a surprise, right? I did this yesterday, and there were only about like 30 people watching. So those 30 people got the early present, and you guys will get the early present by attending live and, of course, watching the live stream. Looks like about half the class is watching live. If you're watching later on, then you'll get a delayed gratification from your Christmas gift here. But otherwise, if you're not paying attention at all, then eventually you'll hear it on Piazza. All right. So questions?
was a godsend.
Okay. So one of the reasons I decided to do this, well, I decided to do it in the main section first, but one of the reasons I did this is because they have a project and, of course, homework 6. And the stats for the last couple of years track with that assignment grades track with final exam grades. So it's from an assessment point of view, it's kind of redundant. That if you did well on the assignments, then you're going to do well on the final. It's usually almost always the case. The only cases in which people do well on the assignments and then don't do well on the final are, one, folks who have been relying on other people too much, and that's not usually an issue with an honors section, and they've been letting their partner do all the work. And two, those who don't deal with high pressure. Like you said, it's only 2 hours. How can I do this? Well, you don't worry about it. You get plenty of starter code, and it is doable in 2 hours. Usually, when I design a final, I give it to to an LA or a UTA, and I make them do it. And I say, well, how much time did you take? I do it myself, and then I multiply like 3 times as much. So if I get it done in 30 minutes, then I know, okay, somebody can get it done in an hour and a half. And then I test it on an LA or a UTA or something like that. But because of that combined with the fact that we've got a shortened schedule, that you've got other finals on. Now, remember, you do have finals on Saturday and Sunday. It really sucks, I know. But the big math ones, I think, are on Saturday.
Yeah.
All right. So make sure that you are checking that final exam schedule. That you're not missing one of your other finals in another class that are being held. And remember, there is a game day, so take your NUID or your N card. That's the only way you're getting into buildings. The football crowds are not going to be allowed in the buildings. Stay away from the football crowds. All right. We're in a really bad time right now in this state because of lots of reckless and irresponsible people. So make sure that you are staying away from them. But otherwise, if you want, it was going to be remote anyway. It was going to be like an all-day thing. So you could have gone home and done it from home. But now you don't have to worry about it at all. You do have to worry about assignment 6 due on Friday by midnight. If you've already done, then you're good to go. Leave. If you remember that you still have that resubmission opportunity if you need it for any homework 1 to 5. That also is due on Friday by midnight, and you have to email me about that because I don't know if you're resubmitting something, which one you want me to consider. The rest of the semester, the way that it'll go is on Saturday morning while I'm watching the game. I'll assign all the grading. We'll try to get it done as soon as possible for assignment 6 and those updates. It's Illinois, so I think the line that we had was like 15-point favorites in our favor. No way is that's a really unreasonable line. But if it turns out to be a good game, then I might not do as much grading. But if it turns out to be a bad game, then I'll probably get more grading done. And of course, I'll also have my TAs help me with it. So hopefully all the stuff will be graded by Sunday evening, and then I'll post it with the retrospective. And you should have your final grade in MyRed mid next week. All right. Make sure that you are registering for classes as well next semester, especially as freshmen, sophomores. They fill up quick. I don't know if they're filling up right now, but to get your choice of section or whatever, hopefully you're already registered for next semester, and this will probably be the last time I see you until then. All right. Okay. All right. Wow, it worked.